Welcome back to Against My Better Judgment, the podcast for two friends.
I'm Tamara Golden.
And I'm Dannelle Whiteside. Tell the truth, share the lessons, and laugh about the moments that we knew better but did it anyway. Each week we share real stories about our lives, about the times that life surprised us, stretched us, or just straight up humbled us, and the lessons that we learned along the way.
And this season, we're titling it Just Because. Dannelle, what are you going to talk about just because today?
Just because I'm a boss doesn't mean I'm a B.
I'm cussing at everything on this podcast.
I didn't say anything. I said B.
Oh, say it. All right. Well, how was your weekend?
It was good. We actually celebrated Mother's Day, and I want to give a huge shout out to the guys in the family for orchestrating a Mother's Day where we just had to go to one place. So my mom, me, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law were all in the same place celebrating, which kept me from having to run between families. And so that was so nice. And then for Christmas, I told my husband, I was like, I want the boys to pick out your presents. Like, I want them to start, paying attention and noticing what you like and, matching what they want you to have. And so he did the same thing for Mother's Day.
Oh, brave.
So the boys picked out some perfume that was really nice for me. And they picked out a picture that is going to hang in my office. They were really proud of that. So that was cool.
But perfume?
Does
it smell like cotton candy?
No, it's actually like something I'd wear. I am not huge on perfume. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
Sean is really big on scents. And so I think Donovan has picked that up because he's like always like rumbling around in his drawer trying to, find something that smells good. So I imagine that, Donovan probably took the lead on that. But I liked that they picked out something for me.
What was it a picture of?
It was actually a really beautiful picture. It's a woman. She's like black. She's like got black paint on her face. And then she's got, and she's a black woman with black paint on her face. Just so you know, it's not blackface.
Okay.
And then she has like gold, like it's the picture, the painting has like actual gold, like rhinestones on it. And then her headpiece has flowers and it's all the gold rhinestones. So they did a good job.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is what you think of your mother.
No, that's really nice.
And then I got to get my mom. She loves this store and they have particular like underclothes that she loves. And so we don't have that store here, but I was able to grab it while I was in Philadelphia. So I was able to surprise it for her.
It's some stuff you don't need to be picking out for somebody.
It's my mom. I know exactly what she likes. So, and she's very like particular.
Okay.
So I was able to get that and I got her like a jogging suit. So she was like really happy about that.
For the summer? Or a jogging suit says hot.
No, you know how women of a certain age, they walk around, they're in the house, with
That's true.
They jogging suits on.
That's true. Like the time you came here talking about turn on the fireplace. I'm like, get blood thin. I'm not doing that. It is summer.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
She loved it, and it was wide leg. She's in a wide leg right now.
Everybody is.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, so it was good.
No, same. Mother's Day weekend was always a blast. My parents came up. Just real laid back, typical. As many people know, my mom loves to shop.
Shopping.
So, but she has not figured out the distance. Like, where do you want to go to shop? Oh, I want to go to Opry Mills and Green Hills. Well, that's like two different cities.
Yes.
But it was her day. We had a great day shopping. And on the actual Mother's Day, my mom, dad, my Brentwood mom, and a friend, we all went out and had a great dinner out. And they headed back and, I got ready for the rest of the week. So it was fun.
I'm glad. Shout out to the mamas who we didn't, we loved on our mamas, but we want to make sure we celebrate all the mamas.
Still love you.
Yep.
Okay, so just because you're a boss doesn't mean you are a big All right,
Yes.
tell us. Talk
Yeah,
to
when
me.
I was thinking about this, theme, just because it's really a dichotomous statement. Like, people will think one thing, but actually you're another thing, or you're shedding perhaps stereotypes that people put on you. And so I wanted to talk about, being a woman in leadership and how people put on stereotypes that they think that you have or assume that you have. But I just want to talk about how that appears and how it has appeared in my life.
Okay.
So, I am a boss.
You are.
And you are a boss.
I am.
Right. So what does being a boss mean to you?
Ooh. For me, when I have a team, I'd say that I've done a really, really good job if I have created an environment where people can achieve whatever their goals are. So for me, I always took pride when people grew enough in role to take that next step, even if it's outside of my organization. Mm-hmm. So for me, I've always looked at it as something where I had a huge responsibility to people that weren't necessarily related to me, mm-hmm. but I was invested just because I was in a place of leadership, in a place to where people eyes could see me and see my actions. So what about you?
Well, yes. So I have a team of people, and sometimes that team has sometimes been 30 people. Right now it's 4 people. And as a boss, as their leader, because actually I don't like I'm no one's boss. When boss is like people tell you what to do and jerk you around, like I am not that
That's
person.
not even part of my terminology.
Yes.
I don't. Yeah.
So, I am their leader, and they are what I refer to as direct reports. And so, I like to just set the expectation and then give them flexibility and freedom to meet it, And so there's a lot of, I think, high trust, high accountability, where it's like, I trust you, but then also show me what you're doing,
But what part of that do you think would give off you not being a boss, but being a...
So here's where I've seen it in rooms where it's not the people that report to me, it's the people that are my peers. So when I am at a table amongst equals, as we'll say, like all the vice presidents and the president, or when I was younger, when I had a different job, it was the executive director and his direct reports, and I'm one of his direct reports. Or when I worked as district policy advisor and I'm talking to the superintendent and all their direct reports. There has been, when I started out, I didn't necessarily know how to own my voice. And there were times when I didn't feel like that I had the courage to speak up when I heard that something was not a good idea, or, my advice was different from what the take was around the table. But now I am unapologetic. Yeah. And so I think when it comes to that's how it can be perceived sometimes, like, oh, she thinks she knows everything, or, when in the position of being legal, seen as legal, people, even before you open up your mouth, you have the trump card. And I think we might have talked about this before.
We have.
So I have to be careful because my voice can sometimes be the loudest around the table. And I think sometimes that can be perceived as, oh, she's trying to, flex something, but my thing is, I'm just trying to keep y'all out of trouble.
Yeah. But even your statement, unapologetic. And I say that a lot with things that I say and my responses. I mean, I use that a lot, but I think that alone can be interpreted as being a beep. So, what do you mean when you say unapologetic?
Usually it is, here's my position.
Okay. What does it not mean? How about that?
It doesn't mean I'm not willing to listen. Okay. It doesn't mean that I believe that what I say is the gospel. It doesn't mean that you have that in general you have bad ideas. It just might be that this one is a bad idea. And it doesn't mean that I can't change my mind if I were presented with a different set of facts and circumstances.
Okay.
But it does mean that once I have made a decision based upon the facts and circumstances that are presented to me now, that this is the path we should go down. Otherwise, we're going to have to face some responsibility, a liability, accountability, the things that nobody wants to face.
I said what I said.
Said what I said, and not taking it back.
Yeah. Is there ever a time when it's appropriate to be a beep?
I don't. I think that it is appropriate when I'm being disrespected. And honestly, at that point, I'm not being a beep. I'm being sticking up for myself. And so in those moments, I have made myself clear.
I think so. I think to your point, you kind of came to the answer that I thought you would have started out with is in certain environments, it's never appropriate, in my opinion, to be a beep. Why? Because we're intelligent enough to use our words.
Thanks.
We have clear thoughts. We have sound guidance. We have good foundations. So we really don't have to. But if a person interprets it as that,
not my problem.
It's just not. And I think even the word itself is used so cavalier. I mean, it's just so casual to where I always deny any reference to it. Mm-hmm. I'm not yours. I'm not that. I'm not it. Never, because that word is used so casually. But I think once you really learn, if you are really a leader, you learn how to lead through adversity, and you do not have to change your whole mindset, your ideology to do that. So.
Yeah, I agree. But what I will say is that there is, even though we said that we don't refer to ourselves as bosses, I don't boss anyone, but I am a boss. And so there are times when you are in situations where you might be tempted to downplay who you are and what you've accomplished. And sometimes you just have to talk to yourself like, no. I've earned my place at this table, and I could list, I do this, passed the bar on the first try, went to law school on a full scholarship, was one of 7,000 picked to go work at OCR, was the first Black president at this university, in school getting my like I could talk my stuff now. Yeah. And that makes me a boss.
I agree with, that's not my strong suit. I have recently learned that when someone gives me a compliment or refer to me as an attorney or refers to me, whatever the accolade is, I've recently learned just to say thank you. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But that part, and I don't know why. It's not, I'm not shy. I don't lack confidence. I think I just like being a part of.
Well, tell us what makes you a boss.
Well, here's the thing. First off, I think of being a boss almost like swag. Mm-hmm, folks who are and folks who have swag, it's not on my shirt. It's not in every time something comes out of my mouth. And I think that's probably the signature event of where I'm like, okay. Yeah. Okay. I see that.
I did that.
But I think to your point, there is a benefit outside of self for people to know you and know what you do and know who you are and frankly know how you got there.
Yeah.
And that's really what this podcast does in a lot of ways.
I think so too. I think it's just a space where sometimes we get to say what we've done in ways that we may not say it on our day-to-day, in our day-to-day lives. And I think that when you are thinking about, am I a boss or am I the other thing, that let's not be the other thing just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Let's carry ourselves in a way where we command respect and we give respect back to whether they are, direct reports, our colleagues, our friends, neighbors, anyone. I'm a big proponent on being respectable. Yep. But don't underestimate.
No, I totally agree. Yeah. I totally agree. Even, and who you are, it's so outside of work. Like people use that boss word and think it's just outside of work. You can just feel some people's energy.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just feel they kind of command a room and a space in a way that is not intimidating, in a way that is inviting and not threatening. And I think when you see those people, you automatically know it's the people that you think of as like, man, there's something that makes me want to be around that person. I can't put my finger on it. Like I went to play mahjong with one of my neighbors at another neighbor's house. And one thing that her name is Jess. And one thing I've noticed in my limited time of interacting with her is she's a really good teacher. And there's something about her personality that is inviting, and we couldn't be more different. But I like being around her. And so when you think about those people, she's a boss. Like she is something a little something different that you just can't put your finger on.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Happy Bosses Day.
Well, it passed, I think, but thank you, because it's an everyday for me.
I hear you.
And for you too. Okay. Well, we're going to move on to the Will Be the Judge segment. And this is where we give our qualified yet unqualified opinion. And I picked this one today because we just talked, we just finished Mother's Day, just passed not too long ago. And this one was interesting. So it's from Whitney.
Whitney. Do we know Whitney?
I don't know.
Okay.
She says, I have a question that I feel a little guilty even asking. I try to spend time with my mom regularly, but sometimes it feels like work. We don't argue, but the conversation can feel forced, or she'll bring up the same things over and over, and I leave feeling drained instead of connected. I love her, and I don't want to regret not spending time with her, but I also don't always enjoy it the way I think I'm supposed to. Is that normal? And how do I make that time feel better for both of us?
Ooh, man. That's tough. I so can't relate. It's just hard to speak to it. I think just like any relationship, I think we have to remember that with parents, it still has to be a relationship. It's not just because you're born and all of a sudden, well, that's my mom. No, it's a relationship. In every relationship, there does take an effort. It's kind of like what you were talking about the boys, like finding out what someone likes, observing them, knowing what they want to do, knowing the conversations that interest them, the shows that interest them. So I do think that there is an effort in any relationship. I mean, if you're seeing your mom just twice a year, that could be hard. Are you thinking of other ways to make her feel special? And then for not expecting anything in return, but I feel like you may get what you're craving in return. As far as should you feel bad, I don't know. That's solely personal.
Yeah.
But if you want something different, you have to put in the work and do something different. I'm fortunate enough to where my mom has not always been my best friend. And a lot of people find that shocking, but my mom parented me hard. And through until law school, frankly, but now she's I don't want to go to sleep if I haven't talked to her. I get excited when I see her. I get sad when she leaves, but that took work.
Yeah.
And it took investment in me doing stuff that I don't want to do. And frankly, her doing things that she doesn't want to do. But now she's one of my dearest friends.
Yeah.
So,
I think the mother-daughter relationship, there's probably a lot of literature out there written on it. It can be challenging because you get to a certain point where you're like, I'm not little girl anymore, I'm woman. And now we're having like woman to woman conversations, but both of you would have needed to shift into that. And sometimes it's hard for moms to allow you to shift into the woman to woman type dynamic. So my biggest advice, I guess, is to set time and be intentional about the time you set with your mom, because then you don't have to feel guilty about the time that you don't. Like if she knows that you were planful about the time that you spent with her, then she will hopefully appreciate it when, there might be a stretch that you can't. For instance, my mom's birthday was in January and I couldn't we went out for her birthday, but we couldn't do like anything major. And so I just told her, okay, next month, pick a Friday and I'm going to take my day and spend it with you. Cause we like to like, kind of like you and your mom, just be in them streets, ripping and running, shopping or whatever. And so I think hopefully she felt like, okay, I know we didn't get to do what we normally do for our actual birthday, but we'll make the time up. And we did. Same for Mother's Day. Like usually the day before, me and her will just be out, just by ourselves, but we didn't get to do that this year. And so, I need to circle back and say, hey, when are we going to get together so we can have our hanging day? And so I think you being intentional about establishing the time will hopefully help her. And then, you didn't say this, but there may be some more issues that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And so I remember there was one time that me and my mom and my brother were having a particular challenge, and we sought family therapy, and we had a therapist, and, the three of us were in three different places, but our therapist was with us on Zoom, and we really got to talk out some of our issues and help us to move forward. And so, I hope this is a relationship that you want to invest in, and because that's your mom and it's important to have that. And if it is, maybe you can suggest that, you guys have a more you take a more concerted effort to repair and then build your relationship. But you only get one mama, so,
Yeah.
and you don't want to have regrets. That's one of my biggest things. Like, I don't want to look back and say, man, I wish I had spent. You never know how much time you're going to have, and however much time, it's never going to be enough. So you should, you want to satisfy yourself within your soul that you did what you could as a daughter. And so make that commitment and do what you can do.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for writing us, and, take your mom out for a date. She would love that probably.
Yeah, agree.
All right. Well, it's time to move on to the Against My Better Judgment segment. And it's your turn, Tamara.
So, first off, this is different for me because it's kind of against my better judgment, and it's a whole bunch of different things. So, I try to support y'all. My friends, my family.
I'm like, who is y'all?
No, my friends, my family, I really do. But this time, I didn't ask enough questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to take ownership.
This is the theme for you.
I'm going to take ownership.
You had that bar guy, and you didn't ask enough questions, and it turned out good. So hopefully this is the same story.
Bar guy?
Remember they came to your house?
Oh, that was a good one.
You didn't ask enough questions.
That's true, but that was ended up being a good one. Well, no.
Okay.
So I had a friend that is part of on a board, and she was selling tickets. So, the tickets were like $50. Mm-hmm. So I'm like
for a dinner?
That's the other part of this. So it was for a fundraiser. The note, it was like a text message that said, this is our biggest fundraiser of the year. So basically that tells me this is where you make most of your money.
$50?
For the tickets. Okay. But anyway, it turns into way more than that because I came home with all kinds of stuff from a silent auction. But anyway, that's not even the point. So I'm like, okay, and it's on a Friday night.
Okay.
Friday nights for me are, it's just been a long week. I usually don't do anything big. I could easily stay at home every Friday night.
Yeah.
I don't, I could just take a shower and do a whole lot of nothing on Friday night. It's just, that's how I roll typically on Friday nights. But I'm like, okay, no big deal. I'll do it. So I bought my ticket, and, I put it on my calendar, and we are together randomly. The event comes up, somebody mentions it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going. She's like, you bought a ticket? I was like, absolutely. Why wouldn't I support you? She's like, well, I'm not going. And I was like, she's like, well, I'm not going to be there. And I was like, okay. Valid reason for not being there. Totally get the reason for not being there.
But also, she could have let you know so you could decide to just donate.
That's all. And I think, and so I say that was my whole thing. It's like, when you're selling a ticket, do you owe a disclaimer to those that you're selling it to if you're not going to be present? If it's a ticket to be somewhere, do you feel like a disclaimer is owed, or am I totally overthinking this?
I think a disclaimer is owed, because if I'm selling a ticket, like usually the boards or organizations that I've been a part of, like if I'm selling a ticket, it's because I'm going to be there and I want other people to join me. It's like I'm the host, kind of.
Okay. And that's kind of how I thought about it. And I was like, okay. Like, so I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to go. And I will say, in fairness to her, initially her thought was, no, you donated because you should have, because you liked the cause. That was her initial reaction. She did come full circle after thinking about it, like, I should have told you, I should have disclaimed, that I wasn't going to be there. But, in the back of my brain, I'm like, okay. Like, it just kind of flew all over me.
So what part was against your better judgment?
Against my better judgment was not asking. Next time, I'm going to say, are you going to be there?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that was not against my better judgment is it ended up being a comedy show. And
this is so interesting. This event that you're describing is very smorgasbord.
Yeah, it ended up being a comedy show. So it had a silent auction. Everything has a silent auction. So you come home with just stuff anyway. But I ended up sitting, have you ever sat at a comedy show? Look at my face. I sat next to a therapist.
Oh, no.
I'm like, I'm sitting here trying to laugh. And you're just like, so I'm like, you read my palm? I mean, get out of my face. So that was the other thing is.
Was it a table event?
Yes. So I couldn't pick my table.
And everybody that you were at the table with, did they know your friend who wasn't there?
Well, one of them was a board member. So yeah, he did.
Okay.
Both of them were board members. Yeah. But I didn't even, somebody's like, so who are you with? I was like, me. Because that's how I felt.
I'm here alone.
That's how I felt. So I was actually at the table, and two of them were on either side of me were board members. So I guess my better judgment, I just didn't ask the right questions. And I didn't think I needed to.
Will you go next year?
Oh, I don't know.
Were the jokes funny? Oh, that says it all.
No.
Yeah, no. I think you need to write that check next year.
Yeah, well, it might be I don't know if it's always a comedy show.
Okay.
I have no idea what it is, but I will say the purpose was good. It was for a good cause.
Okay.
It's like people in domestic situations and getting their feet back under them. So yeah. It was a great cause. $200 later. So,
what's our takeaway from today's conversation?
I can appreciate being clear and direct and allowing other people just to deal with it. However, they're going to define you. They're going to define you. But I think there is a lot of value in making sure you have the narrative to define yourself.
Yeah.
And,
That's a great thread. I will say my takeaway is to take up space and do that without apology. But also understanding that, as you said, whatever people put onto you, that's not something you have to wear. Just because they give you that label or have that opinion of you does not mean it's part of what you should own for yourself. And be proud of who you are. And then take time to love all your mamas.
Yeah. I love you, Mom.
I love you too, Mommy. And with that, that's the end of today's episode. If you would, please, if you want us to give you our unqualified opinion, but also qualified opinions, send us an email at againstmybetterjudgment@gmail.com or hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at Against My Better Judgment Pod.
All right. And y'all, we love 5 stars. So please like, click, subscribe. And if there's any star, we only want 5.
Give us 5.
So see y'all next time.
Bye.